This is Coder Radio, episode 48, for May 6th, 2013. Hi everyone, you're listening to Coder Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and business of software development and related technologies. This episode is brought to you by our fine sponsor, GoDaddy.com. Tell you more about them as the show goes on. My name is Chris, and joining us every single week is our fantastic host, Mr. Michael Dominic. Hey there, Michael.
Good morning, Christoph.
Good morning to you, sir. How you doing?
I'm good.
We have a pretty exciting show today because we have no idea what's going to happen.
That's right, we have no notes, and well, we have some notes, but I can't see them, and we have nothing to talk about.
That's right, it's a call-in episode, and it's just going to be as long as it goes. We got a good live stream with us here today. Of course, we do the show live Mondays, 9 a.m., noon Eastern, over at jblive.tv, and we got some people I think they might end up calling in, and if they don't, chat room, you're on my list. But first, we got some feedback, don't we?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. We have two things to start with, and then, of course, the whole episode's kind of a feedback one. But last week, you threw down right here live on the show and said you're going to take the Firefox challenge.
Yes, I have risen to the challenge, as they say. And I have to say, I would say the biggest thing of note is there's really been nothing of note.
No major problems, huh?
No major problems. The only slightly annoying thing is Firefox Sync isn't quite as easy as Google Sync. But other than that, it's been pretty cool. And also,
you don't have like Chrome on any mobile devices that you sync between the desktop and the mobile device or anything like that?
In fact, on my Nexus 7, I installed Firefox.
Oh, look at you.
Additionally, I changed my search provider in Firefox to be DuckDuckGo, which has been an interesting experience. Very good for programming stuff, very bad for almost everything else.
Wait, so you're taking like a double challenge right now?
I'm doubling down.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. And also, in poking around the Mozilla Project's website, I found something called Persona, which is solving a problem, hopefully, that they can solve and not Facebook, which is having kind of a universal online identity.
Right. Well, you inspired a few other folks in our subreddit who said they're also taking the Firefox challenge. 3 or 4 or 5 different people in here are also doing it.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been thinking about it. I use Chrome for so much stuff.
Oh.
Some people in here went as far as to uninstall Chrome off their machine. They're like, man, I'm not just taking the Firefox challenge. I'm removing Chrome. What was it that sparked all of this again? Is it just them changing the WebKit out?
So this is actually in response to a few episodes ago. We talked about how Chrome is changing to Blink, moving away from WebKit, or I should say forking WebKit. And we kind of got, taken to task by a listener about,
oh, yeah, free web.
If you really care, you would use Firefox.
Right. That's what it was. Yep. I remember.
So,
and you care deeply.
I care a lot. Also, the Google data stuff. I hate to be one of those privacy alarmists, but damn.
But damn, I do like privacy.
Well, they're a little creepy.
Yeah. Well, we got a good batch of emails, but we picked out one this week because we thought it was an interesting topic to kick around. You ready for me to read that?
Do it.
David wrote in. He said, "Hi guys. Guess what? He loves watching the show," and I thought that's interesting because it's Coder Radio, but we do make a video version available. So he is a renegade. What can I say? And he says, I listen to it. Oh, there you go. He says, I listen to it all the time, and it always helps me get in the mood to code, which I think is awesome. I'm writing because recently my girlfriend has decided she wants to be a game developer. I myself just started programming not too long ago, and I love it. The thing is, I code mostly in Python and Java, and although C was the first language I learned, I never really used it. I just read a book and did some examples. Most of what I like to do is web or Android development. From what I understand, most game development happens in C++, which I don't know much about. My question is, where should I start if she plans to develop games? For example, what platform? PS3, Xbox? Maybe those are out of the question. And what frameworks or books should she grab to start with? Keep up the great work, and thanks, David.
Sure. So you said you've done web development. Why not just go with HTML5 JavaScript? And that's kind of I mean, there's gonna be certain things you're not gonna be able to do, but that's kind of a default platform for everything.
Or I mean, he also said he's worked with Android. I mean, a mobile app. Nobody's making a mistake by learning mobile development right now.
That's true. Even if you did HTML, you could do mobile. Pythoneer is recommending an engine I've used before called Impact, which is going to cost you $100, but it's pretty good pure JavaScript base. So that's pretty good. That's a good place to start. I mean, depending on what kind of games you're making. The C++ thing you mentioned, most engines are written in C++, but a lot of the game scripting is done in Lua in a lot of cases. But I think if you're starting from virtually zero, go HTML5 because that's the future. It's going to be a little annoying right now, but
yeah. Did you see that Mozilla has that Epic Citadel running in HTML5?
I saw that. Yeah,
that's crazy, man. That is high-end web GL stuff.
Yeah, I mean HTML games are going to continue to grow. It's what's the name of the company? There is an indie game studio that only does HTML games, and they actually bought one of them. They're pretty good. The last one's not too good, but the first one was pretty good.
What do you think about this? Do you have any advice for him when bringing in a significant other into a realm that is sort of his? Like I've had some experience with this. I know I've worked with folks that have experience with this. Have you tried this?
Yes, in a very limited fashion. It can be tough. So one thing, I don't think it matters that it's a significant other, but programming does train you to focus on the negative quite a lot, right? It can be a very frustrating thing to teach someone. For instance, particularly game programming, right? Because something might compile and run nicely, but then the guy walks backwards and does a little dance instead of firing a gun. So
yeah,
best of luck to you.
Really you have to take it easy. You have to be real gentle.
Yeah, I would,
because sometimes criticism, what might be perceived as criticisms, can sting a little more depending on who they come from.
Yeah.
You just have to wield that power responsibly with great power. All right. Well, there you go. So Michael says get into web. I say also maybe give some thought to that Android development. You never know. Maybe Google will feature you on Google Play and you'll make it big. You make $1 million.
Oh, Google Play.
All right. So if you want to get a hold of the show, you can do so. Email us, coderradio@jupiterbroadcasting.com, or just click the contact link at the top of our website and then choose Coder Radio from the drop-down. And then either Mr. Dominic will studiously reply to your email off air, or we'll feature it on our show, or we'll read it at least. We can give you that much. Now, before we get to the calls, which I think is what we're all waiting for, I do want to mention our sponsor this week, GoDaddy.com. And GoDaddy has a new deal for the Coder Radio show. Of course, because before we were giving you .coms at a ridiculous price, the only thing that seemed reasonable at this price was to make it even more ridiculous. So now we're giving away .coms for $2.49. Okay, .coms are now going for cheaper than apps. I mean, that's cheaper than an app for a lot of apps. That's cheaper than a lot of food. That's cheaper than pretty much anything I can think of that I walk out of my house and purchase. I tell you what, there's no reason not to get a .com now at $2.49. Use the code CODER249 when you check out. CODER249 gets you a .com for $2.49. But maybe you have a .com already for your brilliant idea, but you need some place to host it, something like that. Maybe you need to get an SSL cert. Maybe you need just something. Well, if it's your first purchase, we'll get you 32% off. Go 32 off 4. 32% off anything you want for your first purchase. Go 32 off 4. When you use those codes, it lets GoDaddy know that you appreciate them supporting the Coder Radio program, keeps them sponsoring us, and helps us out and helps them out. So thank you, everyone, for using the code CODER249 or Go 32 off 4 when checking out at GoDaddy.com. And thank you to GoDaddy for sponsoring the Coder Radio program. I hear there's a special race car driver who might be enjoying this program now while she races. She's got a little audio hookup. That's what I hear. That's rumor and hearsay. All right, Mr. Dominic, we're going to officially open up the lines for the live stream. If anybody wants to call in right now, actually, this is true for you guys in the download too. You could always call and leave us a voicemail. It's 1-425-374 4847, or you can Skype us, coder.radio. Now, we don't necessarily check these all the time, but every now and then I might open up Skype, and if you want to leave us a voicemail for a future episode, or if you want to call that and leave us a voicemail and then email the show and say, hey, by the way, I left you a voicemail, then we'll go check it. And then that's so, even if you're on the download, even if you can't tune in live right now, you still could get your voice on the show in a future episode. Now, clip it, and we'll put it on the soundboard, and it'll be you sitting right next to Obama.
Hello, everybody.
I did not even know we had a phone number.
I know. Well, I bought it for the last call-in show. It expires in June, and I figured I'd hang on to it because I did like the Skype 3-month thing where you get a phone number.
Oh.
Because, it just works so nice, because then they call right into Skype, and they can either use Skype, which sounds better, or they can use their phone. But
so I think we're supposed to be this week, but supposedly next week or the following week, we should have a call-in show for the Ouya, where we all unbox an Ouya together, and I probably cry.
As yours shipped, but you haven't gotten it.
I got a notice that it shipped and will arrive this week, or supposedly this week, possibly next week. Did not get a tracking number.
Uh-oh.
I'm a little confused because I'd have to go through my email. I thought one of the previous ones said there'd be a tracking number.
I wonder if that just means it's been... I wonder if that just means the shipping company's been notified they're going to be shipping something.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like in the factory and going to be picked up or whatever. So that's interesting. I'm a little concerned. I mean, I've been seeing more and more about the Ouya.
Oh, Mr. Shane's calling in. Should we, let's grab Shane.
Let's say hello.
Hello there, Shane.
Hello.
Hello.
Morgan.
What's crack?
What time is it where you're at, Shane?
About 5 p.m.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad at all then. All right. Well, hello, sir. What's on your mind? Oh, we should say Shane Kufel from the chat room. He's done apps for Jupiter Broadcasting, tons of stuff in the community, been on forums for years. So, Shane, you've called into the last show, so it's always great to hear from you.
Thanks.
So, what's on your mind?
So I'm wondering whether Michael's done any Python work, because he's been trolled in the chat room about it.
I'm sorry, you're wondering what?
Whether you've done any Python work.
Oh, Python? Very, very little. Yeah, so
Right.
we've talked about this in the past. I had a choice, Python or Ruby, and I went with Ruby a long time ago.
Oh, I agree with you there, sir, anyway.
There we go. So tell Python. No, Python's a great language, though, right? And there are a lot of... in fact, I think there's a new game engine that you can actually script in Python instead of Lua.
Yeah, well, there's a Pygame where you can write the entire thing in Python, as far as I know, which is quite awesome. But I've been dealing with the terrible issues of transferring between Python 2 and Python 3 over the course of the week, so I'm not too happy with Python at the moment.
Yeah.
Are you missing Java? Because I know you do a lot of Android work.
No, I have been trying to stay away from Java nearly a little bit over the last little while, just because I've been a bit bored of it. Doing most of my stuff in Ruby at the moment. Although I was doing interviews, and they were all asking me about Java, and I was like, I haven't done it in 6 months. But yeah.
All right, so the Python debate continues, only it sounds like once you pressed Mr. Dominic, you backed off a little bit.
I love all languages except, of course, for VB6. I'm peaceful today.
All right, okay. Well, Shane, what are you watching these days that you're interested in? What's got your attention?
JavaScript a lot at the moment.
Yep.
Been watching a lot of the Douglas Crockford lectures, and it's very, very interesting. Actually, I got offered a job because I was talking about JavaScript in the interview, and your man was shocked that I was actually able to say what a closure was in JavaScript.
Are you looking into, when you say JavaScript, are you just looking into straight web development, or are you looking at some of the newer native client scripting options or native script, if you know what I mean?
I mean, like the ASM.js from Mozilla and that sort of... Well, I haven't really looked into them. I'm mainly just looking into straight web development and, Node.js, that sort of stuff as well.
Oh, Node. Oof.
Well, good stuff.
Yeah, JavaScript, they're coming.
Yeah.
I'm clinging to my Objective-C with my life.
Shane, anything else you want to touch on before we let you go?
Not really.
All right. Well, dude, thank you for calling in. I'm glad that it works out so that you're able to call in around 5 at your time.
No problem.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, have a great rest of your evening.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right, thank you.
You know, Mr. Dominic, your concern about the Ouya had me thinking.
Yeah.
So one of the main things we're hearing is that it's underpowered.
Yeah, underpowered and lag, right? We're hearing a lot about controller lag.
I think this means... Well, I don't know about controller lag. I think that'll be... Somebody's going to have to... Maybe they'll come out with a wired controller or something, but I think it's going to be a retro gaming console. I think it's just going to be a main box. Because the games just aren't quite... I don't know. I mean, it seems like possibly if the games that are on there are not getting very good reviews, like people are like, yeah, it's got these games, but so does everything else, and they're not particularly good on the Ouya. It's kind of what the reviews have said. Uh-oh, we have another caller. Calling in is... It's not just Ben. It's Ben with an exclamation mark. Hey there, Ben.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, man. Well, where are you calling from?
I am calling from, Silicon Valley, the center of the startup scene.
Sure.
You might remember me from Coder Radio number 20, which was the Modest Rockstar.
Yes, we do. Welcome back, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wanted to know where the book of the week went.
Oh. That's a good point. I haven't been adding it into the notes, so that's just pure oversight.
Yeah, we probably could take some suggestions too, and because sometimes the problem is I've forgotten the books that I really like until somebody's like, this book's good. I'm like, oh yeah, I have read that book. So
I would like to suggest the 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. Now, if you haven't read this book, this guy hates email. He has a vendetta against email, Chris, and he has some really good solutions. To kind of mitigate the email flow, which I know that you complain about email because you're such a popular guy. It's a world that I live in. It is my prison. So I wanted to talk to you guys about app gratis, and I wanted to take Michael to task a little bit about this, the whole thing. Okay. So first off, have any of you ever used the app?
The app itself, no.
No.
Okay. So one thing, listening to the 2 times you guys talked about it, I thought that you sort of missed the core point of the app. So forget everything you know about app gratis.
Okay.
It's an app you download, and they give you discounts, notifications when other apps go on discount.
Right.
So almost always they were paid apps, and then they were going to free apps. Now I got it probably about a month before they got taken off the App Store, and it was this weird thing. Because the app was worth money and then it was free that day, I had this weird compulsion to just download it immediately, no matter what it was. Just go and download. And even some of the apps I got for free, I never opened because it was something I would never use, but I still had to have it as an app hoarder during the free sale.
Right. The app hoarder thing is, I identify with that a little bit.
So it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how fair it is to accuse them of using thousands of download bots, blah, 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 because they really did have millions of downloads themselves.
So it could have just been more good social marketing in a sense, or...
the issue is that they weren't like there's a number of third-party websites that do the same thing you're discussing. The issue is that they are soliciting cash for this, right?
Well, I guess. I mean, that's allegedly, right? I mean,
I understand. There are some developers who say, well, that's marketing, and you can pay $10,000 and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's fine. If that's the type of marketing, some people think it's fine, some people don't. I personally don't like it because it favors larger entities.
Sure, but I would argue that one of the reasons that Apple pulled them off was because Apple was making 30% of a $5 app, and now Apple's making 0% of that for the sale when they get tons and tons of downloads. I mean, that seemed like, to me, one of the core issues, that they were basically taking money out of Apple's pocket.
Oh, yeah. They're going to always put a hamper on that.
They pull down a number of other apps like this now, too, though.
Oh, that makes sense.
Not just ones that are showing you sales. See, it's easy to think, me and you, Ben, have small businesses that, okay, a couple $1 million is a ton of money, right?
Sure,
but
you're right.
When you're at the level of Apple, Tim Cook pisses $20 million. I mean, let's be real here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's $600,000 for a cup of coffee with him.
Now, if you want to be tinfoil hat, I would say the issue is that, and this is not what I think, but this is a good conspiracy theory, Apple doesn't like not being the gatekeeper, not being the one who says, we promote your app.
They're losing control, right?
Losing control. Because
wasn't there another App Store browsing app that they removed from the...
So far there's been 5 since App Gratis.
Okay.
So App Gratis gets all the attention because they had those supposed leaked emails, and they were the first and probably the most heinous, but Ben, you're right. Apple probably has other reasons other than paid downloads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know that these takedowns are worse than any of the other ones. For instance, have you ever dealt with in-app purchases?
Not personally myself, no.
Okay, they are very picky.
Right.
And it's just been very interesting to me, all the the furor and outrage about these takedowns. When every time I submit an app with an in-app purchase, they reject you and they want a clarification on what you're doing.
Yeah, it was pretty funny when they got pulled down. They sent out a push notification that said, "Hey, everybody, still, if you still have it, you can still use it." Blah blah blah. And then I noticed I hadn't been getting freely, daily deals, and I opened the app manually, and there was a big sad face, and it said, "Apple has disabled push notifications for us, so input your email to continue getting daily deals." So Apple really put the smackdown on them. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So they do. I read a blog post from I think the CTO or CEO of AppGratis. They are developing an HTML5 solution, Ben. If you want to keep that service.
That's really cool. I mean, I think that they're using PhoneGap or something. They must be, because they've done a number of visual updates in the app without going
pushing.
through exactly without pushing. So yeah. So if we're ready to move on, Michael, I had two services I wanted to mention to you. I don't remember which episode of Coder Radio, but you were complaining about not having a Git push Heroku equivalent for your Java app. Remember that complaint you had?
Java Play. What do you have?
Okay, so if you listen to last, Chris, or maybe one of Chris's friends, did a nice interview with the OpenShift guys, and they're doing a platform as a service. It's a Red Hat or Fedora is doing platform as a service, and it's open source. And if you go to OpenShift.com, that's basically what they're providing. And they do I think, Ruby and Java and a couple other things, but you should definitely check them out or listen to last. And then the second one I found was just Java specific, and it was called cloudbees.com, and that's CLOUDBEES.com.
I did look at them, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention as far as the Git push, whatever, I don't know, what would you call that? Like just abstraction of platform as a service, or?
I just call it Git deployment, but yeah, I guess it is abstraction.
Sure. Okay.
What are you still using Java Spring? I don't know if that's too much.
I am still using Java Spring, but recently I have a new app that I'm putting out, and I don't want to tell you much about it, but I've been using Heroku and Rails. And by the way, I love Rails. This is my first Rails app, and I've fallen in head over heels. Also, I love CoffeeScript. I don't know why you don't like CoffeeScript, but it's amazing. It makes my life so much faster.
Terrible, but continue.
I'll just say that. Anyways, Chris, my app. The mission statement is to replace iTunes as the #1 podcast discovery service.
Hallelujah.
So I'm just going to lay that down.
Please forward me the rejection letter you get.
Wow, that's brave. Yeah, that is brave.
But you got to set your sights high if you want to accomplish something.
Yeah, no, definitely write in when you have that out, because totally. I think I've bought every podcasting app on iOS.
Oh, good. This is going to be really disruptive, and hopefully I can get Chris on board to help you get the word out about all of the cheaper broadcasting shows. Sure. Please, I want to help you, and I want to help myself as a podcaster. I'll do a shameless plug. I have a podcast myself. Yeah. It's called the Port Forward Podcast. You can search for us in iTunes or portforwardpodcast.com.
A fantastic show, I'm told. I haven't heard it myself, but
well, thank you very much.
Like it.
Well, hopefully, what the idea with my app is that I could help you discover it without you committing to listening to a whole episode. It's a
do we have an ETA?
Probably within the month. I need to get some help.
Within the month? This month, May?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I need some help from a Rails guru. I have some questions about the basic structure, but beyond that, I'm pretty close. So.
Wow, you better hurry, because I think King Marco's coming for you.
Uh-oh.
So I better watch out.
I doubt he's podcasting. All right, thank you, Ben. What was that beeping? Is someone on hold?
Yeah, you have another call. All right, Ben. Ben, thanks so much for calling, man. It was great to get an update from you. Can't wait to hear how things turn out.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, Ben.
All right, bye-bye.
I like his exclamation mark. All right, now who do we have on the line?
This should be Ask True9.
Hi there, man.
Hey, I watch your show all the time.
Right on. Where are you calling from?
Believe it or not, I'm calling in the middle of the United States, Minnesota.
Right on. Okay,
so can I just say you sound just like RMS, and for a second, I thought you were RMS.
Well, should we see? All right, let's see here.
It's negative in the freedom dimension.
Yeah, that does kind of sound like him a little bit. What was on your mind?
Well, I had a couple of questions. I was talking to the CEO of ThinkGeek, and he was just telling me about what I might want to do if I wanted to start a Linux business kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And since there's no way I could really get to the Linux Fest Northwest or any other of those conventions that are on the East Coast or the West Coast of the United States, because all the cool stuff happens on the East or West Coast. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm sorry
but
about
I wanted
that.
to try to start a convention in the Midwest, in the upper Midwest or whatever. So I was kind of wondering, what do you think about those two things, about starting a Linux-based business or trying to start a convention about Linux?
Wow, that's pretty broad. When you say a Linux-based business, what specifically would the business sort of focus on?
Well, I was thinking one of two things. Either helping people like tech support kind of stuff, like shifting them over to Linux when they want to upgrade to a computer, or just helping people become more aware of their like freedoms when they use software, like the FSF or whatever, that kind of stuff.
I like the idea. I love the idea of a future where businesses are transitioning from Windows 7 to Ubuntu desktops. And let's say there's a consulting business for small businesses that just need web apps and things like that, and maybe a basic editor. So I think there's definitely something. That's an interesting idea. But the bigger question you have there about starting your own local convention. Boy, the hard thing about that seems like you really would have to establish a community. But Michael, do you know of any resources online where people can organize events like this out? Well, I guess there's Google Plus and things like that, but...
Well, not to plug our good friend Ben too much, but he had his current app called Join Me is designed to do precisely that.
Oh, there you go. So kind of like people all in an area organized together?
Exactly, yeah. And there you can make groups, so he could call it his Linux, you said Fest, Meetup, whatever.
Yeah.
There's also one called Meetup.com, which is a little harder. I feel like Meetup.com is a little harder to use because their sign-up process is kind of long, and they make you fill out all this information. The real issue is...
Nice.
I'm sorry?
I said, oh, yay, convoluted. Nice.
Yeah, I would go with Join Me if you had to. What kind of... Problem is, I think, because I've been trying to do a kind of developer meetup in New Jersey. To get any reasonable space, you have to guarantee a certain amount of people,
right?
And cash. Basically.
Yeah. That's why I was wondering if it was almost easier to build something small online first, like through Hangouts. Or once you get it, we start with a handful of people, then that builds into 30 people, that builds into 50 people, that builds into 100 people. Now all of a sudden you have enough people to rent out a hall, and then you start there, and you invite one or two companies. That's the first year, and then the second year it's another couple 100 people. And it's a little bit bigger. I mean, you look at Linux Fest Northwest. That's essentially how it started 14 years ago, but it's now a conference that has 1,500 people that attend, and a lot of the major industry players show up there. But it took them 10 years to get there. Maybe it took them 7 years to get there, but they built it slowly over time. The thing they relied on, and maybe this is something that would work in your areas, they very fortunately have a technical college that wants to be involved in that scene because it's good for them too. So they provide the space for absolutely free, which when you think about it is incredible. So there's this technical college that they get to just kind of take run of the campus for a weekend, and they let them use out their rooms and stuff. If you can find a sponsor, a patron like that, then that really kind of brings it closer to reality. And that might be where you start looking. So at one end, you're kind of building a community online, establishing a little group, a little base of people that kind of get the snowball effect. And at the other end, you're kind of trying to find a location, a quote-unquote sponsor that would provide facilities for you.
That'd be cool.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can...
That's what I want to do. Is I want to have like a long-term goal and have people come to the Midwest and have a reason to come to the Midwest because, you know what, the Great Lakes are awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
See it sometime.
I would... God, my dream would be to have a Jupiter Broadcasting RV. Right? And then I just get in the RV for like the summer, and I just drive the nation, and I stop at different towns, and we have little meetups of people, so that way we could bring the party to where people can't go. I just think that'd be so cool. So you never know. Maybe one day we'll have something like that. At least I want to do it. So if I somehow fell backwards into an RV and a mobile rig setup and a secure, fast internet connection across the nation, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So you don't have any ideas much on the whole tech support kind of dealio with the...
I think that needs some refinement. I don't know, Mr. Dominic. What do you think?
I don't know. This sounds like kind of more Chris's bag, kind of like a sysadmin kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and I think at this point, to me, it seems like the idea is a little broad. You need to kind of hone in on a focus that you can kind of, identify a niche in the market that you can kind of serve, and then just kind of put all your energy into just doing the best job at that. And the best mix is always there's enough demand that'll get you busy, but you also see growth potential, and it's also something you like doing. And when you find the sort of sweet spot between those three things, and sometimes one is a little less sweeter than the other, but when you find the best compromise, then you've usually got your idea, and that's what you should follow. And I don't know if you're quite at that spot yet.
That's always a good thing to hash out.
Yeah. But you could just find your specialty and then super serve it.
Sounds good to me. Cool,
all right, man. Well, thanks a bunch for calling in. Have a great rest of your day. And there you go, Mr. Dominic. The line is officially open. God, it's so cool to talk to people. Huh?
I like it. I like the call, and everybody's eager. That's good.
You know what I think? Okay, here's what I'm thinking. The Jupiter Roadshow.
Oh God.
Would start here in Washington. I'd go down to maybe Texas, and then I'd go up to Colorado, hang out with Mars Base, crash at her place, make her make her miserable for a couple of days. And then I'd go up to your neck of the woods.
Saved by the Bell.
Oh, here comes Josh. Hello.
Hello.
We've been waiting for this call, Josh. Where are you calling from, Josh? Where are you?
I am calling from about an hour away from Las Vegas. So in case anyone, for some odd reason, doesn't know where that is, that's in the United States.
So you know about the dirty places, don't you? Down there and stuff. You're familiar with all that stuff. Okay, I got you.
No.
So I understand something might be on your mind today.
Right. Well, I have 3 questions, but the first one I kind of want to get out of the way. I want to take you to task, Michael. Where is my code journal for Linux? Where is it, man?
Well, you see, there's a subcommittee currently discussing possibilities, and
right.
So, all right. So here's what's up. As I'm sure you are aware, there have been a number of versions, a number of prototypes. It is not quite dead yet, but it's definitely getting there. I need to probably focus it to Ubuntu, and there's certain things that I've been kind of in contact with Canonical about the App Store and about some of the other systems behind it, to really integrate it with Unity and, more importantly, Canonical's App Store.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that with the App Store, because the App Store sucks at the moment. At least wait till 14.04 for it.
Okay, so that's the problem, right? That's what I've been trying to avoid saying for 6 months.
But you can't avoid saying it. It's everyone knows that it sucks. I mean, it's to the point where they have to address it.
Well, if you look at codejournalapp.com, I only offer it for free now via the Mac App Store, because there's just a lot of maintenance to vending through a website.
Can you even at this point, how can you at this point even be sure about writing an app for Ubuntu when they're sort of redoing the plumbing? The App Store is supposedly going to get a total reshake.
So that's the other part of the problem. I don't have any special access. In fact, Chris probably knows more than I do. But what I'm hearing, rumors and kind of thing, whatever, oh my God, Ubuntu blogs like that, there are significant enough changes coming to Unity that releasing something now is just going to be a maintenance issue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's true, Chris.
I just don't know at this point if it's. So, I almost wonder if at this point it's like the better approach would be something that's just more generally Linux available. That's maybe a Qt app that runs on all distributions, and later on, when Canonical gets their S figured out, then release a new version that more integrates in with Unity. That might be a different approach, because it's just that's a big question mark that's going to remain for a while. Now, Qt is the right way to go. QML or anything like that you want to use is probably going to work, and that would work across Arch, OpenSUSE, Fedora, all of those.
Right. So we pretty much have like the distribution of CodeJournal kind of, I would think, hammered out. I mean, OBS. I mean, the new OBS supports Arch Linux, which...
Yeah, that's a good point. You could utilize the OpenSUSE build service and have them manage the packaging for you for the different distributions.
Right, and that's something that just... at least I just heard about it a month ago, right? So that's something that's very new to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of projects using it now, though. It's getting pretty popular.
One issue with cross-distro is then making it look, quote, native on all of the distros, right?
Right.
Right.
So it would be really easy to write it in mono.
No,
but it would also look like crap everywhere.
Right.
It would be, and there is a mono version. There's also a Java Swing version that looks like crap everywhere. And then that's, I don't want to go on the proprietary is better because I don't think it is, but there is a big advantage to when I develop a Mac app. I pop open Xcode, and all the widgets are nice and native and they look really good. Same thing in Visual Studio. Now, of course, Qt is a solution to this problem.
Right. And that brings me to sort of my second question, and that is, have you played around with QML any? And in fact, more specifically, the Qt Creator / Ubuntu SDK and Ubuntu specific QML controls?
Ubuntu specific, no.
Okay.
So, yeah, if there were to be one in the near future, it would almost definitely have to be done in Qt.
Right. Because I was thinking...
I just don't think it would use Ubuntu specific QML SDK right now.
Well, and if you're going where the trends are going, I mean, that's just the direction you got to go. I personally love GTK applications on my desktop. I think I always prefer to use them, but as far as the way of the future goes...
I'm kind of surprised about how well Qt is doing, given that it forces you to write, as far as I know, in C++, or anything I've done in Qt has had to be in C++.
Yeah, actually, I came across that problem when I was working on an Ubuntu Phone application.
Right.
I was originally going to write in QML and JavaScript, and I asked this in the Ubuntu Touch IRC, and one of the problems is there is no JavaScript-based local storage, at least enabled for within Qt/QML. Obviously, there is in good old HTML and JavaScript. There's local storage. But that was essentially, they said you're going to have to write that in C++.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm stepping away from this at least.
There really isn't a JavaScript only QML path right now that's viable for anything that's even a little complex. And really, I guess I've also been trying to avoid writing it in C++ just because that's maintenance.
Exactly.
And that's probably more maintenance than, Chris was going to bring it up, but I didn't. But how Geary was unable to raise $100,000.
Yeah, that was covered enough in Linux Action Show. Everyone has differentiating opinions from that.
Right, but my point would be I'm still not super confident in the demand on the other side, so to speak, right?
Are you saying on the Linux side you're not sure there is actually a market?
Well, every time I've kind of shown it to Linux users I know, they're like, yeah, but I could do this with a Python script and have it go to my email kind of thing.
It is a hard thing to judge, right? Because it does. I don't know. I think particularly if an app on the Linux desktop was going to do well, I think something that integrates with Git would. And I think this goes back to your core reason for wanting to integrate in with Ubuntu and Unity is because I think your philosophy is the Arch user, even though you maybe haven't fully realized this is what you're thinking, the Arch user is more likely to use the Python script, where the Ubuntu user who's using Unity and Dash and the Ubuntu Software Center is more likely going to A, pay for my app, and B, want that level of integration.
Yeah, basically. And currently the biggest feature that people seem to use is the Notification Center integration on Mac. A lot of the syntax highlighting, actually, Chris, we never discussed this. I've temporarily removed that feature because of a patent lawsuit.
What? You're getting sued?
No, I got a threat and my lawyer slapped it down.
Wow, gosh.
But I did for about the last month. There's been no syntax highlighting, no gist editing in CodeJournal.
That's tough.
What's really tough is that only one person seems to have noticed. No one was using that functionality. Everyone's just using this guy commented on an issue. Let me click it and reply.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that is interesting. If you were to hit the rewind button and redo your CodeJournal launch, would you launch it?
I may not even add that functionality back because that was the worst maintenance.
Yeah.
And there was just so many problems, right? Because people would come in, oh, well, it doesn't highlight COBOL. Like, well, come on.
Right. It's just an endless thing. Yeah.
Come on, guys. It doesn't highlight Pascal.
And someone's like, well, I'm writing my code. I'm like, I never really intended for you to write all your code in there. So it just got silly.
You end up in this limbo with the desktop on Linux is basically what it is. You're kind of in this, it's not quite, I don't see enough indicators to tell me it's ready to pull the trigger. And to be frank, I as much as I'd love to be the guy here on the show telling you do it, outside of the Humble Bundle and a few developers on Steam who've reported great success, I don't know of any really big commercial application success stories that that's targeted at the average consumer. Obviously, there's high-end pro market stuff that does okay.
I mean, I still feel that when Canonical gets their shit together, Ubuntu will probably be a viable market.
Yeah, I know this is not our topic for the show, but it makes me so angry when I think about the fact that I just feel like they're so close to breaking through and becoming the new desktop standard when you need just a commonplace desktop to just do essential desktop functions. Like, I feel like more and more people are turning to Ubuntu for that. You look at, I've just been watching a lot of talks recently, and a lot of the talks, the presenters they're just using Ubuntu. I see it all the time now, and it's like they're reinventing the wheel at this critical moment. And if they screw this up, then people like you are just going to walk. Right. And you're not out, and you haven't put the chips down on the table yet, so right. You have no stake in the game. So if they screw the pooch, all right, see you later. I'll go somewhere else.
Well, Josh, let me ask you: are you using Ubuntu Unity?
I am.
You are. I'm shocked.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too.
No, a lot of people use it. They just don't admit it. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
Well, I mean, so I moved from elementary OS to Ubuntu 13.04 mainly for the SDK, the Ubuntu SDK, which I didn't realize was just Qt Creator. But it's so fast. But I mean, 13.04 is just so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely like maybe the fastest desktop OS I've used for a while.
Yeah, but to move on from that and Ubuntu's problems, I want to talk a bit about Firefox OS.
Okay.
Have you done any development in that, specifically HTML5 and JavaScript, and used their UX stuff?
Firefox OS is in the phone OS? No.
Oh.
Yeah, they just released their simulator.
They just released the simulator. Yeah,
they released an update to their simulator.
Yeah. Okay. Have you tried it, Josh?
Yeah. I use it every day for Firefox OS development. I think one part where it falls short, and this is specific to their UX stuff, their user design stuff. They have these controls, these HTML5 controls like header and toolbar, and some of their switcher stuff. But it seems to be a work in progress, and they don't really ever disclaim that anywhere in their documentation. So when you go and do a git pull of all their controls and all the resources for that, and you're like, okay, well, it shows that it's going to look like this. So when I implement it, it looks like utter crap. It really pisses you off because you have to do all this custom CSS stuff.
Right.
And then it's like, why did I implement your crap anyways when I could just...
So my understanding is that their SDK is not actually at a 1.0 phase yet. Is that true?
I don't really use their SDK. I use Sublime Text. So, I mean...
Okay, so you're not using their full toolchain.
No, I just use their simulator.
I would say over the last week, looking into Mozilla stuff a bit more, I'm definitely more interested in what they're doing. Right. But I think I would need to see a Firefox phone in action.
I played with one at Linux Fest. It was, all right. It was.
Yeah, I saw you play with it on the stream.
Yeah. It was like a mid-range Android phone, I suppose.
It's underwhelming, but I mean, it shows promise for the web world.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Well, any other things you want to touch on?
Actually, one last thing is I want to get, Michael, your opinion on Firefox development tools, because I've been using those as of late, and
not bad. So part of the challenge is I've been using their dev tools over Chrome's. Yeah. They've certainly come a long way since the last time I used it. Yeah.
Do you use their network analytics? So tracing HTTP requests and any of that?
Ooh, cool.
Not yet. So I've only been with it for a week, Firefox.
So Chrome has this.
Yeah.
It's so much better, but Firefox has come really a long way with their dev tools.
That's great. I have not tried those. I really do like Chrome's though. So Don't
worry, Chris, we'll convert you.
Okay, maybe. I feel it pulling on my heartstrings a little bit, the Fox. And I'll tell you, I was using it on my Bonobo this weekend, Firefox, because I've been toying with the idea of taking the Firefox challenge, and the scrolling is so much better on Firefox.
Yep.
It's just so much better. All right, Josh. Well, any other things you want to touch on? Actually, one last thing is I want to get, Michael, your opinion on Firefox development tools, because I've been toying with the idea of taking the Firefox challenge, and the scrolling is so much better on Firefox. It's just so much better. All right, Josh. Well, thanks for the call, man.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Watch out for the bunny farm or bunny ranch, whatever it's called. All right, so that leaves the line open. I know we've seen a few people in the chat room say they might call in, including Shane said he might. I think he had something strike his memory when he got off the line, so he might call back in. But Mr. Dominic, we covered a lot of ground there, and one thing we haven't mentioned yet is you've actually launched a new app since we've done the last show.
I know. I'm always coding that nasty object. Whoa,
Oh, we got a call in from Matt. We'll have to cover that in just a sec. Hey there, Matt. Are you there, Matt? You're on the air.
Hey, how's
Matt.
it going?
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Canada, actually.
Oh, right on. Very nice. All right. Well, what's on your mind, sir?
I'm just curious. So I'm relatively new to the software development industry. Oh, it slips in the chat room, by the way. And I mainly just do web development at the moment. And my time management skills are sort of subpar, I suppose. So I'm wondering if you guys have a tool chain or just any sort of tool, sort of like Microsoft Project, I think it's called.
Nope, wrong answer.
Okay, I don't know. I don't use Microsoft, so screw that. But I often underestimate my time that it takes me on a project.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
So
it doesn't get better.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
So I was wondering if you had like something like a time tracker or something that you could go back later and maybe see like visually how long you've spent on something in order to like make quotes for the next person sort of thing more.
Oh, cool.
accurate.
Like a utility that tracks how long you do things?
Yeah, like I have one that I use for invoicing, but I would like to sort of be able to go back to it later more visually.
I know I've heard of it. What desktop are you on?
I'm using Arch Linux with Awesome Window Manager.
Ooh, look at you with Awesome, huh? Cool.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, so I have to do this too. So the new app is a Pomodoro timer for iPhone. I tend to track things in Pomodoro, so I guess I do a little bit of both. I don't know what invoicing system you're using, but I use Harvest, and it actually tracks as I'm doing things. So you put in a little note, and I tie that to my Pomodoro timer. And that's basically it. But here's the problem. A networking layer might take 2 hours for project A and then 10 for project B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's not a great way to solve this. I know I just started using fog bugs from Fog Creek. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I haven't heard of them.
All right, it's a task tool and I guess bug reporting tool, where you can put in estimates for how long you think a bug or task will take, and then you put on how long you actually took.
Right.
And it then tries to predict how efficient you're going to be going forward, and you could break it down even into milestones.
Perfect.
Again, and it's actually free if you're an indie developer. I think it's like free up to 2 people or something.
Okay, yeah. I just mainly do contracting stuff, so it would be just me.
Yeah, so it's the problem. To be honest, I haven't been able to solve this problem either.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so it's more of an experience thing then.
More of an experience thing, and also, I'm sure an issue you say you're a contractor, is those hidden little requirements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and emails and phone calls are hard to track. One thing that you might try, Matt, I don't know, is have you heard of Project Hamster?
Hamster. I've heard of Hamster Wheel or something for GNOME back in the day.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know if this is the same thing. It might be a newer iteration of that. But it's the same thing. It sits in your menu bar, and you click it, and there's a little menu drop down. You say New Activity, and you can tag things. You can tag an email and the client names. You can sort by tags. And it does give you not the visual representation you're looking for, but at least gives you some visual graphs of like this was the top category, these are the top clients, these are the top activities, these are the amount of hours, and you can select a date range. It's kind of neat like that, and so you can break it down and say, okay, I spent X amount of time doing this, and then it sends it all out to an HTML report.
Okay, that's nice. HTML is nice.
Yeah. So that's called Project Hamster, and you can find it at projecthamster.wordpress.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. That might help too.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like the one I was using before, but I was using Debian, and it was probably an old version and stuff. So.
Do you know what I've just done over time is I have like a general estimation of how long something takes, the value of that thing that I did, the value of the time I spent on there, and I usually derive something from that if I don't have specifics.
Right.
You know, you're if you're good, you're usually one of the problems you have is you're too fast. And so it's kind of this weird thing you run into where sometimes some tasks don't take you as long as you wish they could, so you don't make as much money as you should. I don't want to make it sound like you want to milk them, but sometimes it's like, gosh, you know, some people this would take them 2 hours to do, and I just got that done in 45 minutes. So, you know, I'm just saying, I'm mentioning that sometimes is a problem too.
Yeah, sometimes it's weird because you think it's going to be a little bit more of a problem, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Especially with web stuff, I find. But
yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, anything else you want to touch on before we go?
No, just love the show. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Dude, thanks for calling in, Matt. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
Take care.
Now, did we get a chance to talk about your app?
Not yet, but Chris, we're running low on time, so should we take
one more? You think
one
anybody
more?
wants to call in? You think we got anybody else that wants to call in, or do you think we spent? You think we're spent?
All right, well, let's talk about the app and
Okay.
see. We could probably do one more.
Hey, Matt, I love this name. This is super clever.
So the app's name is Tomato Soup.
It's awesome. That's awesome. And it's
yeah,
a Pomodoro
it is.
app, of course.
It's a very simple Pomodoro timer. It uses local notifications. It does not send your data anywhere, so you can. Oh my lord!
And then they hung up. They hung up before we even got.
And then they hang up.
Oh, but now
They call again.
We've got another caller. All right, I believe we have Sven on the line. Hello, are you there? Nope, he hung up again. Well, if he wants to call in, we'll give it a shot. Go ahead and continue telling me about your app, man.
So you title your Pomodoros 25-minute blocks. You give it a description, and then there's a statistics screen that tells you what percentage you actually complete and what percentage you stop prematurely.
Oh, that's nice. And then you essentially have your work broken into these chunks here. That's good for billing. And I like that you give a little stats. That's cool.
And that's it. Very simple. To be honest, it started off as something I needed because a lot of the iOS Pomodoro apps are a little too hardcore for me.
Yeah.
And this is just, did I finish it or did I stop it?
And it has nice Zen wood paneling.
You know, in honor of Scott Forstall, I had to get those textures in. You know, I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm like, let's give it some wood.
You know
paneling.
I believe that call we just missed was Johnny Ive calling to yell at you for ruining his beautiful iPhone.
Well, it's funny. It got approved this morning, actually.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. I almost wondered, is the wood paneling gonna get past the app review board?
Don't you think it's interesting that one of the world's richest companies has to pull developers from their one operating system to focus on the other operating system?
Well, yeah. Do you know what's funny about all of this, though? I'm wondering if, and I tweeted this last night, do we dislike skeuomorphism because it's super common or because it's really bad? Because I'm noticing as I'm using more Windows 8 stuff, Metro's getting really boring.
Well, hold on now. Am I the only person that's allowed not to mind skeuomorphism? I mean, like, I'm obviously, like, there you can go too far, but it kind of, in the sense of, like, all of a sudden there's this whole new paradigm of interacting with glass, and it kind of makes sense that maybe you'd want to relate it. Now, things like reel-to-reel for their podcast app, that sounded like that was a horrible, horrible idea.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can take it way, way too far, because, yeah.
But is it really, I mean, like, I don't know. Is it really that bad? Especially when you have super high resolution displays, so you can have fine wood grain. I mean, fine Corinthian wood grain.
And yes, and no, CodeJournal will still not look like a Moleskine journal.
Yeah, it's funny. See, some people do like it, don't they? Yeah, now, you know where it's ridiculous is on the desktop. That's where it's ridiculous. All right, this might be our last call for the day.
Last call.
All right, who do we have on the line?
It's Acid True again. I had a question because I was thinking about stuff during the show.
Sure.
So, I was wondering, when I was going through the Jupyter web testing stuff, I noticed that, one, you don't have Opus codecs, and that apparently seems to be technically better than Vorbis or MP3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And two, I was kind of curious, since Vorbis changed their naming standard or whatever from .ogg to .oga or .ogv, how come you haven't switched over to that?
Well, both questions are because of compatibility with quote-unquote MP3 players that play OGG. They have historically been very touchy. So, like, to the point where, like, if I change something on how I format in the ID3 tag,
Really?
the players stop playing the OGG file. So I've always historically been very, very very conservative on the adjustments I make to the OGG files because I've had so much trouble in the past that the sort of the naming and the encoding and all of that's all kind of just been what I've settled on after years of, well, let me try this. Oh, no, I want to try this. And then having like, oh my God, my OGG file didn't work. It crashed. What I get is like people's OGG players just like, they don't just like not play the file, like they hard lock or, you know, whatever it is. And I get like these angry emails like you've trashed my player. So I'm like, I've always been very cautious for the last few years. So
it's been a long time since I've used OGG. That was back in the Ubuntu 9.4 days. Does it still suck?
You know, as far as, so the huge problem is, and the other thing about OGG is
bigger, right?
Yeah, they are bigger files, and they're also, you know, demonstrably smaller in terms of overall percentage. You know, maybe 2% of our downloads. No, not even that. Not even probably maybe 1% of the downloads. I mean, it's really small.
Yeah, it's a patent thing, right? That's why people are using OGG instead of MP3.
Well, I mean, you know, MP3 is not like it's some spring chicken either.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it was developed at the Fraunhofer Institute, if I remember correctly.
Like Opus is great. You know, like new standards like WebRTC are like Shane's pointing out in the chat room. We're going to use Opus, and Speaks is also really good for voice. So it's kind of more historical purposes at this point because people have all these embedded operating systems where they just kind of have like this wonky implementation of OGG Vorbis.
Yeah, that's you know, good stuff, but. Oh, that reminds me of something else. Do you guys know if there's any Linux home automation type software available? Because I was thinking about maybe doing that at some point.
Yes, I do, and I don't remember its name.
You know, we did
that's a help.
In our Linux Fest Northwest Part 1 episode from not this week's but last week's. We talked to some guys. They have it's a little high end, but it's a full Linux automation system that's all controlled through a web interface and it talks to a database. But it's really neat, and they're open sourcing it, and they're looking for coders too. We interviewed them in the Part 1 episode, and they have everything from like a few of the guys have like their furnace system and their water systems are automated by it. They have brewing systems for beer that are automated by it, and they've been going to Linux Fest for a few years, and they got a pretty cool project going. I don't remember the name of it, but we have the details in that episode of last.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. I guess the only thing I can really think about is, I guess you guys have a great show, and I probably will tune in more because, you know, I wanted to see Chris on because he's cool, but you know, the shows are pretty cool too. So
right on. Well, thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
Fair enough.
All right, man. Have a great rest of your day. Boom. All right, Mr. Dominic. I think that's it right there, isn't it?
And that is it. It is.
It's fun talking to people, isn't it?
I like the call-in shows.
Yeah.
It makes my lazy nature seem intentional.
Right. And we will take your voicemails.
Wait, breaking news. Breaking news.
What is it?
I just got an email, a free pass to a BlackBerry conference.
Well, I don't know if that really qualifies, but we'll do it. All right, there you go. You got the breaking news alert.
Oh, wait a minute. I can't go. That's disappointing.
Oh, no.
I would have really gone because I you know, their new phone is actually pretty nice. But
are they serious?
Hey. You go to work.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Well, so if you would like to call and leave us a voicemail, you can give us a Skype ring at coder.radio.com, or you can call us 425-374-4847. And we'll but if you do leave us a voicemail, also send us an email to coderradio@jupiterbroadcasting.com or hit that contact link on our site to let us know, so that way we know to go check for it. Otherwise, we're not going to go fishing if there ain't no trout in the lake, right, Mr. Dominic?
That's right, and I often miss emails because I kind of suck.
Yeah, I have that problem too. All right, Mr. Dominic, where should people find you throughout the week?
They should find me at Twitter @DoomManuko and at mdominic.com.
Yeah, mdominic, yeah, that's it. I got it for you. We also have links to that in the show notes, as well as links to my social profiles. Don't forget, Coder Radio is live Mondays, 9 a.m., noon Eastern, over at jblive.tv or jblive.info if you want the audio stream. Thanks to everyone in our chat room who tuned in this week. You guys are great. Thanks for our callers. Mr. Dominic, thank you for a great show.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week's episode of Coder Radio. We'll see you right back here next week.